Welcome to the Master Your Energy podcast with Harry Massey, where we dive deep into the science and spirit of energy, health, and personal growth. In each episode, we speak with leading voices across fields like bioenergetics, integrative medicine, and conscious living, uncovering insights and tools to help you restore your energy, enhance vitality, and align your life with purpose. Whether you're a health practitioner, a seeker of well-being, or simply curious about the power of energy in your life, you're in the right place. Thanks for tuning in. To explore more about the world of bioenergetics and practical tools to transform your health, visit e4l.com.
Hello, and welcome to today's special event, our deep dive into the all-new miHealth 2.0. I'm Brianne Gates. I'm Director of Education at Energy for Life, and I'm also a functional wellness practitioner and someone who has come to personal healing through recovering from fibromyalgia, Lyme disease, and depression. So today I'm joined by two largest pioneers in the field of energy medicine, Harry Massey. He is the visionary founder of Energy for Life, the inventor of BWS, miHealth, and Gem Wearable, and director of the Living Matrix movie. We have Dr. Zulia Frost, who brought scanner technology from Russia to the West and has trained over 10,000 practitioners in bioelectrical therapies. And also, what is unique about our panel today is that each of us here knows what it's like to experience chronic illness, and more importantly, what it means to heal. Okay, Harry, let's start with you. So I understand that the origins of the miHealth has come from a very personal place. Can you share with us why you set out to create this device?
The miHealth device, that was actually started maybe I think it was 7 or 8 years after I founded the company, but I think it's probably quite important to give the story of why we even started the company, and then I'll just tell people why we made the miHealth specifically. But if I roll back to when I was 20, I was in Scotland ice climbing, and ice is super, super brittle. I put in my ice axe, the ice shattered. I fell down around 60 foot, managed to get in an ice axe arrest into the steep slope. But what I didn't realize that day, and I ended up like walking back off the mountain. I was in a whole bunch of pain, but I managed to walk off the mountain. And I didn't know for another 2 years till I had a paragliding accident where I was rushed off into hospital in the French Alps. And when I was in the hospital, they did all the X-rays, etc. And they said, well, you didn't, break your skull or do any damage today, but it looks like you fractured your spine before and you've got a fused spine. And I basically then spent years and years and years of having all this horrendous back pain, like right through all of my thoracic and neck. It wasn't just the ice climbing accident. I also had some climbing accidents. So like most people have this extra tendon here on this wrist here. It's all missing this clump. But before that ice axe, before that fall, I was rock climbing. I did a big dyno. I snapped my tendon in here and all the shock and like pulled a muscle and tore a bit of my trap and neck. So I had basically all of these different injuries from both rock climbing and ice climbing. And on top of that, which I guess our normal story, the originations of creating Energy for Life, is on another climbing trip, I ended up getting this fever up a mountain when I was again in the French Alps, got back down, checked into a hotel for 10 days, and then went back to university. But in my final year of university, I just kept getting increasingly exhausted and just wasn't myself. And by the end of that year, I'd got my first job in London, but I got fired because I had to take 20 20 days off. And long story short, I actually ended up with full bed-bound chronic fatigue for 7 years, and then ended up completely bedridden. And it was through that journey of trying everything in the normal biochemistry, nutrition, diet, functional medicine world that I didn't get better. And I suddenly thought, I say suddenly, after 6 years of being bedridden, I was like, well, where on earth does energy come from? And in asking that question, where energy comes from, I came across the whole world of energy medicine, or what we now call bioenergetics, which is the study of energy in living systems. And I ended up meeting this scientist from Australia who'd been mapping out the energy fields of the human body. And he ended up helping me get my health back. And we formed our original company that was then called Nest. It's now called Energy for Life. We did 10 years of R&D to make a really, really good both diagnostic system and a therapeutic system that would basically help people get their health back. Of course, I was the first patient. And as I say, the reason the miHealth came, I think it came in about 8 or 9 years later after that company, because we'd created a system that could work out what was wrong with you and get to the root cause, and also get you better, from an organ and a systems point of view. However, I was still in all of this pain from all of those injuries, because if you're just delivering information to the body, it will give you the right instructions for how your operating system should work properly. But of course, if you're full of scar tissue and injuries, that's a different level of problem, that just doing it through information by itself doesn't help. So then we had to think again. And in tandem, this is how our stories cross over with Zulia. And actually, right at the beginning, I met Zulia, and we didn't quite necessarily know who we'd met, or the benefits of that technology. But right in those early days, I met Zulia because I was just researching energy medicine in general, and put up a website called energymedicine.net. That's how I ended up meeting Peter and some of these other people. Zulia had been both training all of these practitioners and bringing this knowledge over from Russia on what was called the Skinar device, which is a device made for the Russian space program, so they didn't have to take drug bags up into space. And anyway, so Zulia basically helped treat me and got rid of some of my neck pain and things like that at the time. Zulia went off to build this company called Interax, and I ended up, with Peter building out our Nest company, and we didn't cross paths again for another 20 plus years. And anyway, in short, 8-9 years later, I was like, well, we never made anything that could just help people in really from their own hand. And I wanted to make a device that could just be in people's pockets, or their medicine cabinets at home, that would also help with injuries, help with pain, but also actually do all the things that Infoceuticals could do, but do it in a digital form. And obviously, I had that knowledge way back from meeting Zulia. So we combined these ideas out of Russia from the Skinar technology, also with some other theories from Russia that called global scaling, where they're looking at the harmonic resonance of different frequency sets. And then we also combine it with our map of the information of the human body, and then with our whole diagnostic system, BWS, and put it all into one device. So yeah, that's the origination of miHealth. But yeah, the short version is to say you could end up with a handheld device that would help get you better wherever you are.
Yeah, that's incredible. To even think that you could have all of those things in one device. And so, Dr. Zulia, you also had a healing journey that played a major role, right? So how you came into this technology and how it helped you, similar to how it has helped Harry.
I was listening to you, Harry, and I was thinking, it's uncanny. We both came to the idea to become, inventors and the driving force behind technology, because we both had personal experiences. And those experiences were related to being a patient actively. And for you, of course, it happened when you were young and through the accident. I had also the car accident. I've been involved. I was a passenger in the car, but I was severely damaged. So I had 3 fractures on my spine, and my right leg was paralyzed for a few months. Lucky for me, I was young and full of energy. I was healthy then, and my body was able to heal and recover. However, it never recovered completely because there's very serious consequences after you have spinal trauma. And I had to live in pain for years and years past this accident. And I came across all this technology, which you mentioned, scanner technology from Russia. And that was something resonated with me instantly. Because, I trained in mainstream medicine, and I always was open to also the so-called Oriental or Western, Eastern medicine. So I always knew about the meridian system. I always knew about energy in the body, but I knew just vaguely, like a concept. But when I came across of this scanner device, it really sparked my imagination because I got myself pain relief, and then I start using it in the practice, getting phenomenal results. And like it happens, my patient would say, Zulia, why I don't know anything about this? So I put a task for me in life just to get this technology out there for people, because this is something which people just not aware. We can use physics of the body to drive the healing, and devoted quite a few years to, like you mentioned, develop the second generation after scanner technology, Interex technology. And I was actively involved in the creating clinical research to prove that it's truly is effective, because you go to medical practitioners, they need to understand, they need to understand why it works, what's the mechanism of action, but more so, is it truly effective or not? Or is it just a fairy tale? So having hard science was my goal. And I persevered for many, many years. But of course, like everybody else, when you have this learning curve, the new questions pop up, like when I studied energy, I wanted to understand how does, where this coming in the body? How is it circulating? So I went to a true source. I went to study Chinese medicine and acupuncture because they could explain based on 2000 years of knowledge of their predecessors. Then, of course, after this period when I grasped and understood their concepts of energies, I discovered about photobiomodulation, about light therapy. So by then, I would use in my clinic this microcurrent with biofeedback, which miHealth as well using as a part of their treatment modality. And I also invested heavily into photobiomodulation. I went to Germany and I worked with Dr. Weber in Weber Medical Institution. That's where I studied all about lasers. And the bigger you get in the picture, the more questions you have, the more answers. It widens your horizon, and you understand, there are some actual physical methods you can apply, and they get the healing for not only for one condition, but for myriad of conditions. Yeah. So our lives been in parallel. And of course, it's inevitably linked to the point when our path crossed again.
I love that. I think that you guys have such, unique stories, but they're also parallel. And I think so many people watching are going to identify that you both have had healing journeys, and most people have felt pain in their life, or unfortunately, so many people live with chronic pain. And so, let's talk about why people need this. They need a device like the miHealth. when you're dealing with pain, fatigue, or chronic illness, you feel stuck. It feels like you're just managing symptoms, you're never getting ahead. But what we find here at Energy for Life, when people use the miHealth, they say things like, I feel immediate relief. I'm not trapped in my pain anymore, which is incredible to watch somebody go from pain to out of pain, or at least, really alleviate most of their pain very quickly. And then I hear people say that they have hope again.
It sort of comes into the philosophy of energy. I mean, it's in the name of the company. Our whole mission is to restore people's energy for life. And obviously it literally comes from that wise story of being trapped with both fatigue and in pain. Well, anyone who's living or lived with chronic pain, for months or years, and in my case and many other people's case, when you actually finally get rid of pain, it's unbelievable, because you almost don't believe it or realize how much how much it sort of affects your mood, your relationships, your career. When it resolves, you do just get that immense sense of freedom. And of course, when you're out of pain and you have energy again, you've got all the possibilities that life have to offer. So that's ultimately. And of course, and that is really one of the reasons. I say it's the main reason for the miHealth, is we wanted to create a really, really effective, quick way of getting results. And to do that's why you have to combine so many things. So it's like the red light helps provide energy to the tissues. The electrical current helps provide energy, but it also signals to your nervous system. So it's, doing neuromodulation, but you're also putting information back in on that, and that's why it's so quick.
I know we have a couple of slides, so let's show that and kind of take us through a couple of cases where we've seen the miHealth work extraordinarily.
This is a 3rd degree burn from boiling water. Obviously, you can see in the first picture, how severe the burn is, with like all of the skin is blistered. And the photo on the right, that's just 3 weeks later, and that's basically initially it was just using the miHealth on broadcast mode, because obviously you couldn't touch the skin.
Right.
It would be too painful. But as it starts to heal, you can actually use the miHealth on the skin, and then that accelerates the healing more. And there's a study done in Russia, a long time ago, and I read this 23 or 4 years ago when I first met Zulia, and Zulia presented it in one of her presentations. But it'll speed up, the miHealth and that type of technology. I mean, it speeds up bone healing, skin healing by like five times the normal rate, and that's if you're using it twice a day. So it's like,
okay. Honestly,
it's like, why wouldn't you use it for whatever type of injury or wound that is going on? Like, it's absolutely essential to have in your medicine cabinet.
For sure. All right. And what about this one?
Ignoring the pacemaker part, but what you can see in the pictures here, this is basically a tumor in a dog's leg, and again, it's just using the miHealth, and in a few weeks, the tumor has basically disappeared.
Wow, it's incredible that people could have access to something like this in their own hand, in their own home.
Humans, we're often, if not always, in our own way, and I'm sure people have heard of the placebo and the nocebo effect. So the placebo effect is when you believe something is more likely to happen. The nocebo effect, unfortunately, is what happens with most of us humans, is we don't believe that we can get better, and we don't believe a therapy can work. So then, of course, it doesn't work. But if you take an animal, i.e., a dog, they don't have placebo or nocebo, because they actually don't know that the therapy is happening. So that effect is neutral. And we found over the years, both with Infoceuticals and miHealth, actually you get better results with animals over the general population, because it basically it just works, and you don't have the human brain blocking the therapy.
We do see that happening because animals, they're so open, right? They don't have judgment like humans.
They don't even know what you're doing. They don't.
Yeah. And the pony with the infected leg.
This is another great example. So this was a pony that was just about to be euthanized, and they tried all the different antibiotics, etc., to clean up the bacterial infection and the wound. Just about to put the pony down. This particular vet, he had another vet friend that he'd heard had been getting all these results with the miHealth. He rang him up as a last resort, and Hans came over. And I say this transition has taken 3 weeks using the miHealth off body, and then as the wound started healing, you then use on body near the wound, but not directly on the wound. And anyway, the wound all healed up, and of course this pony was just about to be put down.
These are just a couple of examples that we have, but I know you guys have seen so much of this, and that's why we're so excited to share this, because the possibilities are really endless. So it's exciting to see what could be next. All right, so now Zulia, I'm so excited that you're here because we see all these mind-blowing results, and that's why we were so excited to come into the miHealth 2.0, creating the miHealth 2.0. Can you tell us a little bit about the miHealth 2.0, what it is?
First of all, I wanted to say, when I was listening, Harry, I had tons of case studies popping up in my head as well, because I work with patients for almost 30 years, and I've seen thousands and thousands of patients. And burn, I had the burn second degree, not third. It's the airbag blew up. I had again car accident, and I had a burn on my skin, and that actually I was using device on skin contact, and I got complete 100% pain relief within half an hour of stimulation.
So you did it directly on the burn at the moment burn.
Yes, I put it straight in because obviously I didn't have the capability of miHealth when you can use off body, which really for me is super attractive. But I had to bear with initial pain from prickling, but it was just only for first few moments. And then there was complete pain relief, and blisters disappeared in front of my eyes. It was so profound. When you experience it yourself, it really boosts your belief.
I think it'd be great for people to know the broad scope and variety of conditions and things you've seen. Maybe give a splattering of examples across different diseases, conditions, etc.
I have seen results which most common things like osteoarthritis. It's really uncomfortable nagging condition, but I almost in 95% of patients, I was always getting results. Neck pain, back pain, even disc disease, which is difficult to treat, all the type of injuries, bruises, broken bones, sprains. The next myriad is the complex conditions when people could have headache, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, really phenomenal results, because I would say in 100% of patients I got result. 100%. Those who came to me with IBS, I was able to help them. And when you look at statistics, how many people in the States, actually in the world, have this? Yes. So people who could not sleep, people who could have painful menstruation, and so on. I mean, you name it. I tried everything. I wanted to be open to anything. But my biggest pride, professional pride, is I was able to help people with neuropathic pain. And neuropathic pains are really notoriously difficult to manage. And people have to take all these horrible very complicated drugs, which makes you drowsy, which makes you impossible to function during the day. And people would be so intoxicated with side effects. And to be able to offer something which is non-invasive, it's safe, completely safe, and giving you almost at instance pain relief. But of course, you have to work through there will be fluctuation of pain.
Neither of us have taken, basically any pharmaceuticals for, I think you said for 30, 40 years. I'm 50. I think I haven't done it since 2021, so similar.
That's incredible. Zulia, since you were just talking about the neuropathic pain and the how beneficial or how much it changed your practice and how happy you were that you were able to help people like that, let me show the slide that you have that is connected to one of your neuropathic pain patients so that you can kind of give us an overview of this example.
It's always good to have an example, right? This patient was really amazing because she came to me in flip-flops in November in England. You know what it's like in England? It's really cold. You don't wear flip-flops, but she has to wear on the foot, which is affected by this condition. It's very severe. It's used to be called reflex sympathetic dystrophy, but now it's complex regional pain syndrome. So she was in pain. Just even putting socks on her foot, she was unable because that would bring her pain. So this is called allodynia when you react to this. That was a result of the car accident she experienced and where she tumbled in a car and she got multiple injuries. So she developed this as a result of the going through the recovery. Of course, with this condition, you never go straight to this foot. You work on the spine, you work on the symptoms which she presents. And that was really remarkable because we went through these 3-4 weeks going through different parts from hip to neck to mid-chest and so on until her neuropathic pain, which typically presents like burning and throbbing, has gone completely. And then it was safe for me to start treating the foot. But she also used device at home. I've given her a protocol what to follow. And I must say, within 2 months' time, we conquered neuropathic pain. People live with this pain, which is her 24/7. And we conquered it. And then she continued to work on her. And in the end, she knew exactly what to do. So I discharged her and she was left with really just clicking on the foot, but not even pain. So effectively, she was able to go back to normal life. Because of her the severe pain, she lost job. She didn't have much income. She was really sad, depressed, and unhappy. And needless to say, I think that changed her life because 3 years later, she wrote me a really nice letter and she said that she is now back integrated into society. She's doing the job she loves doing. And it was really, really phenomenal. And, giving chance for people to re-experience, like Harry said, what it's like to be normal again, not feeling that pain and do things which you like doing.
That's the intention here at Energy for Life, is to give people their life back, give them that energy back so that they can fulfill their dreams, their destiny. You have another one as well, Zulia, that I thought was very profound. So tell us a little bit about this case.
This is a child actually of a therapist. She's an excellent, amazing nutritional therapist. Her child, 12 years old, supposed to be picked up by a school bus, but somehow he got, and the school bus drove over his foot. And you could see the severe bruising to be, if you've got on the picture. That was immediately done. And of course, his mother was really into therapies and she had the device. So she got with paramedic in the car, which is 1 hour transport to the hospital. And she just said, you know what, I'm going to do what is right. Of course, paramedic objected. But by the end of the hour, when they arrived to the hospital, even paramedic had to admit this is magic.
Just for people's understanding, and you can correct me. So when you get a severe injury, the body's reaction is to create all of that swelling and inflammation. But unfortunately, the body left to itself, it overdoes it, and it creates too much swelling and inflammation. And what the device is doing here is communicating to the body and actually helping it find its own homeostasis much faster. So it only creates the right amount of swelling, because when you create too much swelling, you end up basically damaging all of the tissue, which is why normally it gets so bad. But because she did it for that first hour, it kept it at the level that was actually much more healthy for the body, so the healing time would reduce. But maybe you'll say it in a more accurate way.
Correct. And also, when you have so much pain, this pain overrides the signals, and your brain is going to shut down, and it just says, I don't want to hear anything. So it doesn't do anything in terms of healing. But when you bring the threshold of pain down, and we know by science that when you have neurostimulation, in this case, the device was stimulating the fine nerve endings in the skin. So what's happening? The body releases endorphins, which are much, much more powerful pain relievers. And also, they also have healing properties, and they don't make you drowsy. They just release in the right quantity. So this boy was able to feel less pain. And like Harry absolutely rightly said, the swelling went down, the bruising went down, because it happens immediately when trauma occurs. So it's become regulated healing response. And you could see the second two pictures in the 1 hour in the hospital compared to the first picture. It's dramatic change. The boy actually recovered within 2 weeks' time. He was back home, walking without crutches. That's how phenomenal this case is. And we have this tool available, and I personally use it for any injuries. I don't take medication, painkillers, nothing. If something happened, immediately I grab the device and stimulate myself. And
if only everyone could have this device. And now we're making this available, because you can see, it's like, if you have it on hand when there is an injury, an accident or something, and you have it, how much less healing time, how much time you're saving if you did have something like this on hand. And the last one, I think this also just speaks volumes. Can you tell us a little bit about the shoulder fracture?
So this is a young man. He was skiing in snowboarding, actually, in Alps. And he fell on the shoulder. And you could see on the diagram, there is a little fracture of the top of the shoulder, the bone humerus. And he came back to England, because I lived at that time in England. And he came to me, straight to me, and he said, well, it's 1 week post-injury. I want to heal faster, because he already experienced the treatment before. So I stimulated him. He also, in my practice, I rent the device to people. So he took the rental device and used it every day, 4 times a day, just placing locally over it in skin contact, and a little bit treated the neck as well. And then he came again. I gave him 1 more session, and after 2 weeks, so totally 3 weeks between these 2 shots, yes. And in 3 weeks' time, you could see it's completely healed, completely integrated the bone. Of course, it helps that he's young. 36 years old, I still consider young, and fit man. But having the X-ray to confirm the results, it's another sort of representation. It's not like somebody said so, oh, I don't have pain, I can do whatever. But actually seeing on X-ray that it's the bone completely healed, it speaks the volume.
Basically, it speeds up the rate of healing. I mean, that's the bottom line.
It sure does. This is very obvious by looking at the X-rays. So after seeing like all of these mind-blowing results that we just saw, everyone's going to want to know, like, what is the miHealth 2.0? Like, I have one right here. So if Everybody's probably already wondering, what does it look like? It's this beautiful handheld device. At its core, it's an all-in-one intelligent healing device. It's microcurrent electrostimulation, PEMF, so that's pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. It has red light therapy with this laser, which we're going to get into a little bit. And then it also has the ability to imprint via frequency Infoceuticals. So this is 4 treatment technologies in one. It's designed to heal not just the symptoms, as we see, but it actually will heal the entire energy system of the body. Isn't that right, Harry?
Is, I think because me and Zulia have different sets of knowledge, so I'll let Zulia speak to the difference in between TENS and the type of signal that we use in the electrocurrent bit, and explain neuromodulation and the benefits of red light lasers, and I'll explain PMF and the imprinting side. How about that?
Yes. First of all, I must say that the reason why we're working together with Harry again is because, I work with the scanner, with Interact Technologies, but they just use this one modality. So when I came across with miHealth device, this is miHealth device I've got in hand, what really fascinated me that this is, to me, it's the next step of development of technology, because it's not only doing what it's supposed to do, but it also gives you this phenomenal informational feedback. And I let Harry to explain it. But to me, I'd like to focus more on, for people to understand, how does it stimulate? It is a stimulation. When in skin contact, it produces electrical pulse stimulation with the electrical current or microcurrent. Most people would know about this. And microcurrent been studied significant in physiotherapy for particularly wound healings, for using a variety of muscular relaxation, etc. So, of course, the biggest thing is to say that this stimulation compared to TENS is different, because when we place in skin contact, we stimulate only 0.5, 0.8 centimeters into the skin. So it does not penetrate like TENS devices, transcutaneous electrical stimulation. So when you work with TENS device, the current bypasses skin. It just goes straight to the muscles and make muscles to contract. Yes. And it has own good purpose and good benefits, outcomes. But what they're missing is that when you're in skin contact, you stimulate stuff which is in the skin. And what's in the skin? We have nerve ending to sense pain, nerve receptors, we have blood capillaries, we have glands, we have all this subcutaneous network, which is basically like a knitted suit of the fascia. And when I say fascia, I know many people who listen to this webinar got really excited, because manipulating fascia, it's like we're now rediscovering fascia. We know fascia holds the neuroendocrine responses. We know fascia does relaxation and so on. So manipulating fascia is something really helps the healing. So when you stimulate with miHealth device, what's happening? They are stimulating nerve endings with sufficient strong stimulus, and that is representing energy. And that's where maybe I should step back and say, this is my personal discovery in therapeutics, full stop. What I realize people don't heal because they don't have sufficient amount of energy. And when you provide cells with this energy, suddenly everything what you do, your nutrition, your active physio exercises, everything starts working. So we found this phenomenal way to stimulate and give energy at the points. And this energy is also delivered in a very unique way. because if you stimulate endlessly, you can overstimulate and nervous system goes to shut down and there won't be any response. But if you give a precise dose stimulation, then you're doing something right. So with miHealth device, you have this neurostimulation based on the impedance feedback. Now, I don't want to overload people with terminology. I just say impedance is how much electrical current can get through the skin and how much it doesn't. Yes. So if people have good low impedance, the current travels in and you receive energy. And when impedance high, the body does not receive energy. So the trick is we've got here bioimpedance feedback automated, and it's based on patient response reaction.
Wow.
So it's not me who is a therapist operating with it. It's actually patient's skin will be controlling how much energy you want in. And it does it in real time, simultaneously.
Right.
So in this case, we get absolutely bespoke treatment modality, which gives a very precise dose of energy sufficient to stimulate this area to give energy for healing, but also to signal your nervous system the body is in trouble and needs now direction from your brain how to get through the healing process.
The body has its own amazing intelligence, but the body's skin impedance, it literally changes in real time due to the response of the tissues underneath. So it's basically the body signals back to the device basically how much current, and it, when you look on an oscilloscope, and maybe I'm getting too technical, but when you look on an oscilloscope, as the impedance changes, it changes the shape of the waveform that's going back into your body, and that's part of its magic, and that's why it's so different to TENS or any of these other electrostim devices. It's a completely set frequency and wave, but with us, the signal is adjusting in real time as the impedance of the tissues change in real time, and therefore the body never quite gets used to the signal, but once it changes, it tells the device, and then you can move on to another part of the body. That's one of its completely unique features. It comes out of the Russian original research. That's it's very, very special.
Most people don't understand the importance of the skin. From embryo, our nervous system and skin comes from one germinal layer. So this is extension of your nervous system. And when we stimulate, it's uniquely, when you slide the device over the surface of the skin, it stops. It finds through the bioimpedance feedback exactly where to treat. And it was phenomenal. I had people with a broken cubital bone, and I was able just to drag the device and I'd say, is fracture here? Exactly. He goes and gets X-ray, and they draw on the skin exactly the point where I detected with my device. So its unique ability to detect and give dose stimulation is just unparalleled.
Well, I understand from what you guys have been sharing and what I've learned that this is so unique. This is unique to the miHealth. It's really not something that you can go out and find anywhere else. This exact technology of this being able to do the biofeedback.
That part comes from the Skenar Russian world. It's the combination that is unique. So that the Skenar, that will adapt its impedance. So that that idea was borrowed from the Russian world, but no other device then combines the other three parts, which we should get into. I'll let Zulia explain the infrared parts, and then I'll explain the other two.
May I also stop a little bit and explain how it affects the brain, because it's also really important in healing. Because often what can happen in variety of conditions, I call it in my head desynchronization. Because when people in stress response, and most of us are, because of their fast pace of life and demands and everything. So different parts of the brain cannot communicate between each other. So it's like very busy brain. So the body has an injury, and this injury is not being attended because the hierarchy brain, which is supposed to send their commands, do this, do this, do that, is actually not doing the job. There was a phenomenal study by Russian scientist Chibaksov, and he did EEG of the animals, mice and rabbits, and he demonstrated that when you start using this base technology, you can see the brain becomes so quiet and peaceful. This you can achieve only like 3 hours of meditation gives you this. And so when we stimulate just for 10 minutes, we get that peaceful, calm brain, which the first step to healing, you need to be relaxed and allow the body to go into this parasympathetic relaxation, calm state. That in combination with neurostimulation, and Harry is going to talk about this. Remember, what advancement has been done? Advancement that every waveform, so it's electrical or light or electromagnetic, all encoded with very unique, specific frequencies, Infoceuticals. So right now, I want to take back to the lights. So we've got here lights in between two electrodes. It's red lights. And red light is very important because as we target the skin surface, because we have nerve endings, we also have acupuncture points there, yes? So red light is being absorbed within the skin level. So photons of light are going to stimulate that. As a result, we have response reactions. Response reaction comes that under the lights, you have improvement of the microcirculation. You may have also improvement in the state of pain because remember, we target the pain receptors. So, but I think the most important property of that light is to deliver bespoke frequencies. And these frequencies, you as a therapist can choose by looking at the screen. You will be able to pick and find which tissue you want to repair. Is it fascia? Is it bone? Is it nerve? You can actually choose the bespoke frequencies on the menu, and then it will be automatically delivered through the light, through electricity, through magnets.
Perfect. So, one of the other additions that we've made since we had an original miHealth out for a long time, like 12 or 13 years. And, one of the things in that device is there's a mode called off body where you can broadcast the information. Now, in the older miHealth, it used a very weak PMF field, but the PMF field was just coming off the same transformers that we use for the electrodes. But in the new miHealth device, we would basically put in a very specific PMF coil in addition to the actual transformers. The reason that matters is because when you put in a pulsed electromagnetic field, what it's basically doing, it's taking a magnetic field and it's doing a pulse like doof, 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 doof. And, your cells, they're also able to pick up magnetic energy. It's often particularly important used at night, like when you're resting, the body partly recharges using the Earth's magnetic field. Instead of being up vertical, you're lying horizontally, so you have a much greater exposure to Earth's magnetic field. But what the device is doing here, of course, when a tissue has lower energy, you want to expose it to a greater amount of energy, because the more energy that's in the tissue, the more energy is available to heal. We've also layered on a local PMF field in the device. And when we're imprinting information, or if you like, we're transferring the biological blueprint back to the body, there's a couple of ways. There's a few ways you can do it. You can do it through sound. You can do it through light. you can do it through PMF, and you can do it electrically. And of course, from our perspective, the more methods you do it, the better. So we basically then layer in information using the PMF field, the electrical signal, but we also use the photons. And that all comes from the original work of mapping out the fields of the human body, which we did with Peter Fraser 24 years ago. And he spent 25 years before I ever met him. So it ended up like 35 years of work mapping out the information of the body. And the reason that matters and what we're doing is we want to make the body's control system as efficient as possible so that the tissues are able to use energy in the most efficient way that they can. When you use energy more efficiently, both from a macro body point of view, but also from a tissue level, again, you're accelerating the tissue's ability to heal. And of course, if the body doesn't know how to heal, yes, it uses the body's own intelligence. But if you actually give it the specific instructions and the specific blueprint, it can go straight there. So in that map of the human body field, we mapped out, I think, 440 different parts of the body, different functions of the body, different tissues of the body. So we put that information in on the signal. And where it gets very, very specific is if you're a practitioner and you also own BWS, which is our scanning system. That scanning system is pretty amazing, and it's the topic of its own webinar. But it takes your voice data, it'll take wearable data. Coming soon, you'll be able to upload blood data and symptom data too. That'll tell you very specifically where in the body that there's a block in the body's energetic control system or field-based control system. But it also identifies what that information is. And so it'll tell you, and we call them ERs, they just stand for energetic rejuvenators, but the name doesn't really matter. But, it'll say liver, it'll say kidney, it'll say thyroid. And so you can just specifically choose that function on the device, place it on your thyroid, place it on your kidney, place it on your liver, and it's going to imprint that specific information that's personalized to you based on the scan to accelerate that healing response. Because there's these two very, very simple principles in bioenergetics. If you optimize the exchange of energy with your environment, but you also optimize the body's control system, if you're making the body more efficient and operate properly, and you're in the right environment, pretty much the body is just going to heal. And of course, if you combine it with all the neuromodulation effects that Zulia was talking about earlier, and combining it with adding more energy to the local tissue, obviously, I say obviously, but those tissues are going to accelerate the healing. And that's why combining those 4 types of technology, well, it's never been done before. And, we've already seen, Zulia's seen, we've got some of our practitioners in the UK who are using the new miHealth over the old one. And the old one was really good, but the new one, we're actually seeing even more effective results.
Zulia, is there anything else you want to add before we move on and talk a little bit more about the science behind this?
I just want people to try and see for themselves, because honestly, it does work. And like Harry said exactly, I tried the new miHealth device. In my view, it does everything faster. And when you have a busy practice, then it's really important to get results.
Absolutely. Well, let's share with people some of the data. So we have done a large outcome study with over 250 participants. What we saw was that 88% experienced relief just after one session. 93% of people felt better after 2 sessions. And then 85% of chronic condition sufferers reported noticeable improvement.
That's a study that was done, I think 10 or 12 years ago with the original miHealth.
we're doing a study on the new miHealth, which we know is even more robust. So it's very exciting. And just so that everyone listening understands that every modality in the miHealth, like microcurrent, PEMF, red light, Infoceuticals, all of that has peer-reviewed research behind it. So microcurrent, for instance, is proven to boost ATP production by over 500%. PEMF can promote cellular repair. Red light stimulates mitochondria. And Infoceuticals, well, they help restore the communication between systems. And we're even seeing that there are new studies showing that information-based healing, just like what the miHealth delivers, can change cell behavior and even increase resistance to viruses.
The other bit of research that we've been doing over the last 3 years at UCSD. So with UCSD, we basically made a mini version of the miHealth. Well, in part, basically, we took the red light part and we took the PMF and made sort of a prototype mini miHealth that we could use on cell cultures.
Wow.
And we've seen all sorts of different things, but we've seen an increase in the efficiency of glycosis, but basically where the tissue has been able to get more energy output, the same level of sugar being fed to the tissues. We've seen an increase in mitochondrial density. We've seen 67% increases in protection from ROS damage. Sorry, that stands for reactive oxygen species, where they basically poison the cells with hydrogen peroxide. We've seen reduction in the viral penetration rate into lung tissue. And back to the skin examples that we saw earlier, basically, over a 36-hour period, we've seen an increase in the skin repair rate. You damage the skin, basically, they take a needle and scar the skin. And then the imprinted ones over the unimprinted ones, you see a rapidly increased rate in the wound repair assay. And anyway, I say there's more studies coming. Depending when this webinar comes up, we'd put all of those experiments into a peer review paper, and at the moment we're waiting for it got through peer review, but we're basically waiting for that paper to be published.
For those people who are watching, we've got consumers watching, people that just want to help themselves, help their family. We also have practitioners watching and thinking, how could they possibly incorporate this into their practice? And something you were mentioned earlier, Harry, about BWS. And so if they're a practitioner, what you were saying something about maybe they would get to use for 30 days, they could use BWS when they buy a miHealth?
Just to say what BWS is, that stands for the Bioenergetic Wellness System. It's basically like at the core of our overall ecosystem. So in our company, we have a light bed. The light bed you just lie in and it'll give you the most amount of energy out of all our products from a total body point of view and imprint the whole body. You've got the miHealth, which is really good for pain, injuries, very specific issues where you can place the device. We also drop ship Infoceuticals. They're basically remedies where we've imprinted the information into the colloidal minerals, and we just drop ship them to people. And we have a new wearable that'll detect, correct, and protect your energy and emotions. And BWS sits in the middle of all of those different products and devices, because it's there to get to the root cause of what's going on with people and also work out the optimal sequence of healing. So it knows which Infoceuticals and which devices to use in which order and basically when. And it also educates the client and the practitioner on how you can optimize and restore your energy for life, through the optimal diets and different health habits. We're in this new era of AI. There's a lot of AI features being built within it. They're not actually in it. Well, depending when you watch this webinar, but they're all coming out in 2025. It just makes it easier. So obviously you can use the miHealth by itself. And you can do things manually. You can basically take measurements on the skin and work out how, where you should use the device. And of course, from people's symptoms. But if you want to be really, really precise and get to the exact root cause and know exactly where's the device, BWS just makes that easier. So if you're a practitioner buying, miHealth for the first time, we include a 30-day experience of BWS just so you can, see that for yourself. And then if you want to bring that whole ecosystem in your practice, you can. If you just want to stick to the miHealth as a standalone, obviously you can do that. But obviously we just want to show people the full breadth of what the ecosystem can do.
Dr. Zulia, I am so grateful that you were able to come on the webinar today and share with us your experience and how much you have transformed people's lives in your practice. Is there any closing statements you want to make before we finish our webinar?
Thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me. And I'm so glad to be able to speak because this message goes to many, many people. And my message is this. So we have the phenomenal intelligence in our body, innate intelligence. And why not to use this by physical modalities, which can alter your perception and get you healing? So the miHealth device is safe, non-invasive, and it just literally corrects the energy in your body, adds and corrects the energy. Why not to try? So I wish you could try, and then you could join and listen to my educational webinars.
That's a good point. Zulia said the word try. As a company, we always stand behind what we're saying. So, if you buy a miHealth, we always give you that 30 days to get your money back and to change your mind. Because in the end, obviously, you can hear us on a webinar, but it's actually in the end, it's a first-hand experience. So, I would just say to anyone, buy it, use it. But I would also say take it seriously. Like, these aren't dumb. They're not dumb devices. Like, you should watch Zulia's webinars. You should read the training materials so you know how to get the best out of it. If you do all that and it's not for you in your practice, the company will always refund you anyway. So I would say just get it in your hands and use it.
Well, if you're ready to take control of your energy, your pain, healing, you do not need to wait. You can visit Energy for Life. That's the number 4. So energyforlife.com/miHealth. Now that is MIHEALTH to get started with the miHealth now. This is the ultimate device. It absolutely is going to get to the root of your symptoms, resolve them. If you bought each of these technologies separately, like PEMF, red light laser, neuromodulation, TCM pulse analysis.
It's getting up there of 20 grand, I think, when you're buying these things separately. Honestly, you can get PMF devices for 30, 40 grand. So 12, 15 grand. Anyway, we put it all in one for 5 grand.
For 5 grand.
Also, everything is encoded with a bespoke frequency, which you can find many. If you buy PMF, it's not going to be the same what you're offering yesterday.
Yeah, it's just plain PMF, but we're able to put that information on the electromagnetic pulse. We're giving the, like you said, Zulia, the bespoke frequencies on that information.
There's a lot of false information or just misunderstanding in the frequency world, and a lot of it's come out of Rife and stuff that, where there's these specific frequencies. Well, we've done an awful lot of research into that, and mostly it's about the energy that's going in. But what we have found, and this is actually again is out of Russia, he basically worked out this theory called global scaling, and he noticed that basically there are all these harmonic frequencies that all fit in an overall fractal called global scaling. And there's basically specific sets of frequencies that are harmonic to different functions and tissues in the body. So we took those harmonic frequencies, and then we added in our biological information, that we've got from our map of the human body field. And so it's a very specific combination of information that's delivered in binary on top of these harmonic frequencies that come out of global scaling. And it's that's actually the magic of how we can accelerate repair.
Because of these harmonics, it's in resonance with the body, and the body is very receptive to any information then that you're giving it. Is that correct?
That is correct. There's a lot of companies and frequency companies and energy medicine companies that come out. What I would say is just look at the back history and the pedigree. And there's a lot that can make a lot of claims or get month-long studies that show things, but just ask this deeper question of where the research came from, whether they've really mapped out the information and frequencies of the body. Because as I say, I met Peter 24 years ago. He'd already done 25 years of research. We combined it with the best out of Russia. Obviously we've combined with Zulia and all of her knowledge. The company's been around 24 years. We don't just state it. Obviously we did all our own research to work this out, but we also put it out to different universities. So we have a number of postgrads at UCSD under Professor Hemmel that verify and look at what we've done and putting out more peer review papers. I would just say when you're looking across this field, there's an awful lot of companies that are saying things and doing things. And a lot of them are semi-copycats of what me and Peter did. They don't have the research backing, and it's not well thought through to a philosophy. Well, we wrote an original book 20 odd years ago called Decoding Human Body Field. You can read that whole history and that whole journey. You can, look at Zulia's background. But yeah, I would definitely do your due diligence in this field.
Absolutely. And Zulia's holding up the book. So if you are a practitioner or somebody that has the heart, you want to become a practitioner, we have training. We have, Zulia does all of our advanced webinars discussing treatments for miHealth and how to use it for different types of challenges that your clients might be facing or that you might be facing. So there's definitely not a short of education here at Energy for Life. So you're not just going to be given the tools, but then not given a manual to use the tools. We have all of that.
You always get out of anything in life what you put into it. But yeah, the more you learn, the better the results.
Absolutely. And that is how we feel here. So thank you so much again. And remember, visit energy4life.com/miHealth. That's miHealth with an I, MIHEALTH. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
To explore everything we've talked about today, from bioenergetics to the GIST process, and to find free courses, transcripts, and ways to work with or become a practitioner, just visit e4l.com. You'll find one page that guides you to whatever best fits your next step.